All right, so hello YouTube and welcome those who are watching. There's some people in the back that can overhear this. I'm Jesse Tovar and this is Afternoon Poetry at My Place Cafe. My place is located over Penn Steve Square, 2057 North Los Robles Avenue, Suite 10, Pasadena, California, at the corner of Woodbury and Los Robles. My place is open every day from 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Since my place is still open during this live stream, stop by and get a coffee or a latte. I'm having their Cinnamon Churros Latte, and Brian, who's here today, is having their Chai Latte. Above my place cafe is the Artist Loft run by Nina and Lares. Services this loft offers is makeup artistry, lashes, hyaluronic lip fillers, and airbrush tanning. Services are offered by appointment only. To schedule one, contact the Artist Loft on Instagram or Facebook at the Artist Loft Pasadena. And also above my place cafe is Space Brownie Body Art, a tattoo and piercing studio run by Maurice Dean, who is here. I just saw him. Services are also offered by appointment only. For more information, contact the business on Instagram at spacebrownie_. For the past roughly 2 years, I have brought many authors to read at or for the cafe. I reached out to most of the authors to please read here, and today's no different. I first learned of Brian Sonia-Wallace through some mutual poets from Mad Mouth Poetry. As I've said before, the folks from that group are phenomenal. You've seen some of them on this channel over this 2 year period. Brian Sonia-Wallace is known as Rent Poet, a poet who writes poems on demand. For example, Brian on one day will be posted at the Getty Center, and for those that are interested, we'll ask Brian to write a poem to them or for someone else they know. To get started, Brian will ask a few keywords to get started. After Brian spends a few minutes typing on a typewriter, the recipient will take the typed poem with them. Back in February, I sent Brian a DM inquiring if he wanted to read here today, and he said yes. And I was amazed because this is one of 3 poet laureates who have agreed to read at my place cafe. For those who don't know, Brian Sonia-Wallace is the West Hollywood Poet Laureate. Then in May, I bought the last copy, or at the time, their last copy of The Poetry of Strangers at Village Well in Culver City after I had a latte, a beer, and a wine. One-liners from the first chapter that stuck with me, especially when I recently wrote a micro semi-fiction piece about 2 drinks with the same name are, creativity is finding 2 unlike things and saying, you know what, these 2 aren't so different after all. Or connection across difference is at the heart of poetry. A poem from the chapter, Self-Proclaimed Witches and Deviants, has a line I think is awesome and reminds me of Diosa X, which says, we speak and the water answers. I can argue that this book would be an excellent course read for a graduate poetry and poet seminar because you get both in one. Fast forward to September. Right now, I'm helping with the live streaming for the Altadena Poet Laureate events, and who's the current poet laureates are Peter Harris and Carla Samith. And that month's guest was none other than Brian Sonia-Wallace. During the writing session on typewriters and simply writing a poem to someone for someone, we introduced ourselves to each other, and I second myself as a person who contacted him from my place cafe. A takeaway from that event back in September is that Liz Gonzalez and Cynthia Alessandra Briano is that don't forget to play. Play around in constructing the poem you are writing on command or demand. I admitted to Brian that it was a bit challenging to write that type of poem on the spot. With play, my random thought led to Christian Predface's play, A Reclamation of Soul. From late September in Altadena to today in Pasadena, because the library is just like literally up the street from here. I knew this event would not be so far away. So please welcome Brian Sonia-Wallace.
Hey, hello. Thanks so much, Jesse. Cool. My name is Brian. As he said, I am the current poet laureate of the city of West Hollywood. Here's the sash to prove it. And I am going to share a few poems with you today from a new book that is forthcoming in April of 2023 with Moontide Press. And I have been deep in these poems for the last 2 weeks, so it's exciting to get to share them out loud and to sit with some of the new edits. The book is titled Maze Mouth. And since Jesse sort of introed me with my history as a typewriter poet, I think I'll begin with a poet from the collection that is directly talking about that. It's called Typewriter Confessional. No one asks, what's this poem about? When you've written it on a typewriter for them, after soliciting their whole life story. Not when you're set up next to the rabbi/lip injection station/tarot reader at the wedding/makeup brand launch/all company tech soiree. Instead of asking, your patrons cry in front of their spouses/employees/strangers. They carry their shitty poem with its spelling mistakes around the party. An excuse to talk to everyone about their dog/vacation/fear. When you tell people you're a poet, they ask, "Is that your only job?" "Yes," you say. "You work nights and weekends." Your iPhone is full of images of 5,000 first drafts you counted you'll never edit. People you don't remember bump into you years later and tell you they still have their poem on the fridge/in the bedroom/next to their bedside. They reach out at new milestones where you'll have no ability to backspace. You're learning to edit in secret, to make your language strong enough to hold you, to make someone stop and ask. You want to say, this poem is about how, even with people, I'm alone. But another stranger has brought you a glass of bitter house red. They've remembered something they want to tell their mother, something they want you to say for them, only better. So that's Typewriter Confessional. We're going to move into Little Sheep, starting with some grief poems, because that's always fun. This collection is mostly dicks and death. This one is called When Dad Died. 1. Family breaks, italicizes into dialogue. I miss him. I miss him. 2 of us at the table, attempting a holiday. Is that a family? Mom heals slowly, mind and body broken, booze draggled, teary, drunk, and showering only as often as an injured person showers. How is that a mom? Until, hungry for dog walks, she writes herself on her cane. Another date with pain, that old, estranged lover who moved in when Dad died. 2. When Dad died, I got a fish. When Dad died, I started kickboxing. When Dad died, I broke up with everyone. When Dad died, I moved on. When Dad died, I taught. When Dad died, I could not think straight. When Dad died, I moved the car for street sweeping. When Dad died, I went to the desert. When Dad died, I had sex with strangers. When Dad died, I watered the new houseplants. When Dad died, I started to do everything I'd ever do for the rest of my life after my dad died. 3. A screeching devil of self-doubt moved in. A few paperback profits, and a podcast about setting boundaries and communicating needs. I give my mom Mother's Day, evidence she's needed. We open the good wine, the wine he set aside. We opened the whiskey I would have drunk with him after she went to bed. She stays up to drink the whiskey. Near the end, she keeps saying, I'm so glad you're here. 4. You have so much to live for. A colleague of my dad has sent her an email. She laughs and laughs. Isn't that funny? What does he think I'm going to do? She keeps tracing the hole. I'm just complaining. The setting sun complains, golden across the street. Jacarandas bother the sky. I insist on a walk, and she grows animated, inspecting the neighborhood, hungry for new construction. Thank you. Chai Latte. This next one is a poem. As part of my duties for the city of West Hollywood, I have to write them a poem every National Poetry Month. And this last year, I wrote this piece and I sent it in, and got word back that they thought communications might have some issues with it, and would I please write a different poem. And so I invite you to consider this poem in itself, but also to think about it as a censored text. It's my first censorship by the government. The title is Migratory. Tiny dogs tug at their leashes. They can't stop sniffing. Addicts rub their arms at the intersection, and the drag queens keep yassing and death dropping. A stranger messages you that he just wants to be held as he falls asleep. Tuck me in. But, he says, I don't sleep well with others. You'll have to leave right after. You leave the country. Never get back to where you started. Circle the dog park. Aren't we always seeking something to return to? The free little libraries in people's front yards are delicate birdhouses, a flutter of migratory books. The gym monitors the sauna for gay cruising, threatens to terminate memberships. People carry on exactly as they please. Sheriffs wake up a man sleeping on a bench in the sun. Under your table, a small spider has made its home. This could be home, you think, this month, or this city, or this body, this poem. That's that one. All the things. I came out fairly late in life, although different generations, I think, have different times of doing that. And one of the things that the Laureateship has been an encounter with for me is finding queerness in my writing. And I think I had stayed away from writing queer themes for a long time because it felt like a mark of difference or something that would set me aside or be not relatable. And it's been interesting now living in a place that is sort of majority gay. I mean, 40% of the city are gay men. And to really think about queerness not as a marker of difference, but as a marker of unity, is something that it draws people together with a shared experience. And so this poem is called Out. Boys stagger, honk and moan across Robertson. Ripped booty shorts and painted talons mean as Mary Oliver's wild geese. This ancestral flight path of faggots, a nature poem. Find me here, hungover, nestling into my 5th cup of coffee. When you have no wings, only legs carry. When you have no history, your tongue holds the ghosts of strangers. This family, this shimmy, flick, good gravel, bones, 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 skeleton. You have so much meat. Soft animal, come in. Here is everything you fled for so long. Come in. You must be lonely from all that running. Let's do some more death. This one is immolation. When half your family dies and the other half goes insane, you thread green lights on summer nights toward hoodie weather. Replay future Thanksgivings at strange tables, stuffing not your culture. You bred people with simple butter. You dead people, ash scattered with no funeral marker. You run away homecoming king, still chasing virgin dreams across continents, stale with Waffle House. Times Square backdrop for makeup orgies, detention in a lover's arms. Boy, sit up straight. Wipe that grin. Inherit this wreckage we call history. We call again and again, nothing to say, just breathing into the phone like, fucker, I can still fog a windshield. I don't know where I'm going. It's out of fashion to write about loneliness, but there I said it, I'm lonely. Parked in a dead man's car, carrying a dead man's name, back to an empty house. Who will reattach my body to its language? Who will fuck me when I live and when I die? Tell them my final choice was to be burned. All right. This next poem carries an NC-17 rating. So that'll be great for the cafe. Yeah, it's about pups and fisting. And fisting's pretty self-explanatory. Jesse, do you know what pups are? It's sort of a BDSM thing. It's people who dress as dogs and sort of take on those mannerisms. So a little context.
Yeah.
I always say with this poem, it's about a friend of mine. I can give you his OnlyFans after if you're interested. It's called Best in Show. On the tail end of a particularly Catholic visit home to Mom, Stephen inflated a balloon inside himself and decided on his pup name, Apollo, God of Light. Back in the city, he'd race to strip off blue scrubs, fire hose his insides with a douche, and fill a Gatorade bottle with silicone lube. Boys were waiting. Stephen stayed loose. Fists, if he was being honest, had gotten easy. Last week, a man put his whole foot in Stephen's colon lining. Soft earth on bare toes. Apollo, God and dog in one, yelped and whimpered, pawed the air, head lancing back to lick stars. Sometimes at the nurse's station or on the volleyball court, Stephen would reflexively bark. In bed with his new husband, Don, Daddy, Sir, the boy growled tiredly and nuzzled his godhead in. They'd sleep that way until the sun rose. Under daytime scrubs, Apollo wears a collar with a dog tag in the shape of a bone. What beast do you hide under your work shirt? How wide does the God in you extend? Maybe it isn't something for our mothers to understand. This line of men, here for the ritual, this hunger to be everyone's good boy, to be the best boy, to be. And all right, for something completely different, I went up a couple of weeks ago to the Getty, where they have the Códice Maya on display. It's the oldest surviving book from before the Conquista in North America, and it predicted the movement of the planet Venus for 100 years. It's one of the few books that survived the Spaniards' attempts to burn all of the books written by native folks. And so I grew up speaking Spanish in school and English at home. Did bilingual schooling in elementary school and then lived in Chile for a time in middle school. And so something I've been reconnecting with just recently in my writing is thinking and working across languages a little bit more. So I did this erasure poem, which means that I took the exhibition texts at the Getty, and they had them in Spanish first and then in English. And so I took all of the Spanish texts that described the work and described the history, and did an erasure, which means that I took specific words from them to create this poem, to find this poem. And so I'll read it in Spanish first and then in English. Casi todos sagrados perdieron públicamente. Ahora apareció una falsificación trabajando de forma independiente, igual. Equipos de insectos, utilizado como pigmento rojo. Luz rasante muestra los daños causados por un calendario. Sacerdotes, hechos catastróficos, signos de los días a Maria. And in English, do you have a pen, by the way?
Yeah.
Typos in this printout and going, oh, I should definitely fix that.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. This is why reading your work out loud is such a good idea.
Is this going to be in your forthcoming book too?
Yeah, it's a new one, but it's I think just making it under the wire. What was I gonna correct before? There was something. There was the word just in something. Where was it? I'll write it down to look for later. All right. Here's the English translation. So this is the star map. Almost all the sacred ones lose publicly. Now there appears a falsification working in an ancient independent form. Teams of insects used as red pigment. The raking light reveals the wounds caused by a calendar. Priests, catastrophic deeds, sigils of the yellow days. That's that one. Continuing in this vein, this poem feels risky in a fun way, I think, in an interesting way. The title is You Keep Dating Latino Boys. Goes like this. If there's nopales and eggs, but a white person put them there, are they still nopales? If a white person says te quiero, does desire mean consumption? If a white person grows up speaking Spanish, do they hear the sound of brown bodies falling? Cada frontera, ficción, pesado y caro. Puede ganar mucha plata guardando una frontera. The butcher throws out the parts of the pig he can't sell. The streets smell for miles around the slaughterhouse. ¿Cierto que los latinos son más apasionados? If a white person swallows all their feelings, all the time, how much time until they start to feel full? All right. This one, the title is still shifting a little bit. I think it might just be called Ars Poetica, which is a form, basically a poem about the writing of poetry. Horace did the first one, classic Horace. So here's the Ars Poetica. When a wound oozes, the doctors say it expresses itself. A dancing wound, a hollering wound, still sweating at midnight. A wound is a high school hallway. All the trains are canceled and no one here speaks English. English, the original wound. When a wound twirls in, don't bury it. When a wound woofs, howl back. A wound is a wolf with a scent for family, resenting the moon's wholeness. The moon's wound was born before language. Language reaching, never whole. The wolf wolfs toward meaning. Forget the doctors. Medicine isn't what we need. And I'll end with this poem and a couple of announcements. This one is called The Room You Just Left. Move the car for street sweeping. The workout rotation, legs, chest, back. Breathe books and drink it black, and every haircut is a complete reinvention. The cycle of coffee with mom, crying with mom. Every time you put on your shoes, you will never re-enter the room you just left. My old lover tells me I am building a ritual. I see him infrequently. I see him again. My mom tells me she is useless. I am stern. Stop being mean to my mom. The pit of my stomach tells me everything I want to hear. It sings, the thinnest spider web, a wail of egrets white streaked against the sky. Without warning, Dad is dead. Every meal, every bike ride, a reminder. The hole doesn't close, Mom says. You just have to embroider around the edges. Like beauty is the pain we attend to. Like the only way to keep living is to practice. Thank you so much. I'm excited for the book. A couple of things happening really just in the coming week. You can find me as Cowboy Bill, 100% American Cowboy, at the Poetry Brothel, which is an immersive show where poets in character read you their work. My character is an American cowboy poet who's definitely not a Soviet spy. That's happening this Friday, December 16th, and happens every other month. We also this week on Tuesday have the final show at the Mike at Mickey's, which is an open mic that I run every Tuesday night at Mickey's, which is one of the older and trashier gay bars in West Hollywood. That's from 7 to 9:30-ish p.m. This Friday is the last one of the year, and then we'll start up again in the new year, so stay posted on that. And April 2023, Maze Mouth from Moontide Press. Thank you so much, My Place, for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, stay on this side. So yeah, I'm a little dark here, but that's all right. As I've mentioned a couple from time to time again on this channel, I appreciate every single poet that reads here, especially poets that I like and stuff like that. It really means the world to me when they agree to do something like this, especially in a place where I'm helping, with their social media and whatnot. And especially with today, with him reading like some poems that are about to come out in a few months, that's always a plus. I like when poets do that. We had a couple poets that have already done that, like within this like past year period. So once again, thank you so much, Brian, for reading here today. Thank you for agreeing to be here. This is the last poetry event for My Place Cafe of 2022. We thank every single viewer that stumbles across us on the internet for tuning in. And happy holidays to y'all.